as the Zulu Warrior, Grant Langston, has climbed to within 1 point of the championship lead. Today, the championship stops at a place very dear to the series leader. The 2001 125 champion got his first taste of victory at Washougal Motocross Park back in 1995. Now the points leader tries to hold off a foreign invader while they watch behind them for the reigning champ.
The greatest race fans in the world.
And we welcome you to the beautiful Pacific Northwest for the Scott USA Nationals from Washougal, Washington. This is round number 8 of the AMA Chevy Trucks US Motocross Championship. And hello once again, everybody. Todd Harris, glad to have the champ David Bailey back with us. And of course, Cameron Steele on a picture-perfect day as we are just outside of Portland, Oregon on the Washington side of the Columbia River. Well, a great day for 125 racing. The track is in spectacular condition as we take a look at the points lead right now. Not much of a lead for Mike Brown, just 1 point over Grant Langston. Ryan Hughes closing in, and of course, Bubba Stewart. We talked to Brownie about what he has in store for us today.
The last couple races, I've just been riding too conservative and trying not to crash and not going like I can. And, you know, I decided after the first moto last week, this ain't going to work. You know, if I'm going to win the championship, I'm going to ride like I have been all year. And, you know, I decided the second moto to ride like I have, and I rode good. And, you know, got a bad start, but I came up to the third and, you know, had some good times. So hope this weekend I can just keep continuing like that there and just ride like I always have. And, you know, if I win the championship, that's fine. If I don't, you know, I rode my hardest, I know that.
Well, that's the story for the points leader. For another story, I'll tell you what, Grant Langston has been bit, slammed, punched by the injury bug, and today in practice he took another spill, and he's standing by with our Cameron Steele to explain.
Well, guys, I caught up with Grant Langston, and earlier in the day we saw an accident that was definitely unfortunate for you. Your bad wrist, injured again. How are you feeling?
You know what, to be honest, it's really painful. When I crashed, my hand was pretty much numb for a while. You know, it's a bad wrist that I've had surgery on, and it's just not 100%. And you know, when I landed in that pile-up, it got really badly. You know, I jawed it really hard, and it doesn't bend back very far. So it's real painful. It's swollen up. I had X-ray. Fortunately, nothing's broken, but you know, it's tough to ride. You know, but I guess the way the situation is, I gotta have to suck it up and go out there.
Motocross riders are tough guys. You're talking about sucking up because of the points. 1 point back of Mike Brown. Could this be the race that you move into the lead, even though the wrist is a problem?
I like to think so. You know, you just never know what's going to happen. You know, sometimes things plan out, you know, unexpectedly in your favor, and sometimes it goes the other way. But you know, I'm hoping sometimes luck will go a little bit on my side, and you know, I'd love to take the points lead here.
Well, it should be a great race. We're looking forward to it. But right now, let's take you out and show you the Washougal track. The guys upstairs are going to show you the Sorby Suzuki Fast Lap.
All right, thank you very much, Cameron. As you pointed out, it's time for the Sorby Suzuki Fast Lap. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to the champ, David Bailey. You've run this course before, almost 1.5 miles in length.
Well, it's a little nicer since I was riding there. They take much better care of it now. You can tell from looking at the dirt. It's a dirt start, just like last weekend in the Unadilla. That's the uphill. Takes you into this S-turn section where you work your way through the top. Out of the view of some of the spectators, creates a little bit of curiosity as to what's going on in the back section. As you work your way back around into the spectator's view, you go through this shaded wood section, and it's a big ski jump that drops you right back down into that just sea of spectators right here. It's about a 60 or 70-foot leap right there. Tight little jig jog before you head down to this big tabletop jump. A lot of fun right here. The riders just styling it right there in practice. The dirt here, very, very tough to read. At least when you got ruts like that, you know the back end's not going to get away from you. But anytime you see that light dirt right there, that shiny stuff, very slippery. Another tunnel jump right there before you work your way into this long, fast straightaway with some whoops and timing. The track doesn't get very rough here, so this is probably one of the rougher, naturally rough sections. Then you get back into the woods again. Really difficult to see your line because of all the shadows from the trees. You can tell right there, that's, where the heck are the ruts? That'll be a challenge for the riders as well. And then you work your way back around over this left-handed little bit of a jump. and you make a right, head into the whoop section. That takes you right to the finish line jump. But we're not going to end it there. After this sweeper, after the finish, you go through the mechanics area, get your signal, that hairpin, a couple of more sharp rights, lefts, and then you get back into the section where the first turn comes in. And that's a lap here at Washougal. It's going to take the rider that's the most precise, has the best lines, the best throttle control to do well here today.
All right, thank you very much, David Bailey. As we take a look at the Washougal track, the dirt looks good. They put a lot of time, a lot of effort. As you remember back in your day, it was a real dust bowl. Here they put a ton of water on it, so it should make it a little tackier, better for our racers. As we get a look at number 105, that is Ryan Hughes. He is certainly in the title hunt. Hughes trying to get up in there and pick up some points today, and of course we cannot forget James Stewart. But your leader right now is Mike Brown. We talked about it. For him, it's really all mental. He hasn't been racing himself. He's been trying to think too much about who's chasing him.
Yeah, the best thing for Brown is to just charge, and that's why James Stewart is so successful. Yeah, he fell in Vegas and got hurt, but, you know, even though he's missed so many races, it's still possible that he could come back and win this championship. And the reason why is he goes for it. And that's what Brown needs to do.
There's the Suzuki starting grid. As you can see, all the competitors taking part today in this Moto number 1 in the 125 class. A beautiful day here in Washougal, Washington. And we are set to go racing. Moto number 1, 125. We got riders down, a huge pileup, about 5 riders that go down there, and out of the melee comes number 18 on the Yamaha, Brock Sellards.
Well, that didn't last very long. Stewart just chopped right underneath him. Now you got a 4-stroke against a 2-stroke. James just cut him off. Wouldn't let him put that extra horsepower to use. That pileup started right next to that's Craig Anderson and Mertens. It was right next to James Stewart. He almost got slipped up in that.
Well, fortunately and unfortunately for the rest of the competitors, he did not, but Brock Sellards got a great hole shot, and James Stewart came right back and said, no, I don't think so. So James Bubba Stewart, number 259, on board the Kawasaki, starting to pull away. Brock Sellards, number 18, on board the Yamaha, sits in second place, and here comes the rest of the field. We'll see if we get the KTM wave going once again.
I think we're going to be saying that a lot for the rest of this season, Todd. The rest of the field. That, of course, doesn't include James Stewart, who's already checking out. Another lap at this pace, and these guys won't be able to see him anymore.
Mike Brown currently sitting in third place on board his Kawasaki. He is the current points leader in the 125 class, as he is cheered on by his mechanic, told him to move up, do not lose contact with Bubba. Easier said than done. He's already out of the camera view. That's Brock Sellards. He is the second place runner. Number 3 is Mike Brown, and Brownie's trying to move up. But where is Bubba Stewart? Forget where's Waldo. Where's Bubba Stewart? He did a great job here avoiding the crash.
Yeah, it looked like he clipped a little bit, maybe with Anderson. And, you know, sometimes you get into the first corner, you bang bars a little bit, and hey, you got to make sure that you stay up. You got to be tough. You got to give an elbow. You got to do whatever you got to do so that everybody else goes down and not you. And that looks like what happened there. James just refused to fall down.
So Sellards sits in second, Brown in third. More importantly, here comes Grant Langston. Bad wrist and all, makes a beautiful pass right there. And I think right now, a lot of people in the Kawasaki and the KTM camps are thinking points. Get as many points as you can, because James Stewart shows no sign of letting up.
No, he's just going to keep putting together 50 points, 50 points, 50. I don't see any reason. I mean, you could say, well, you know, what if he got in the first turn pileup or something like what just happened to Anderson? That's already happened, and he still won. So, assuming he's going to probably win these races, Brown and Langston have got to get hot. They cannot afford to just be careful through an event here or there because of an injury or a bad day or a track they don't like or something like that. They have to be in the top 5, basically, from now to the end of the series to beat James.
Well, you made a great point earlier on, the power of Brock Sellards. He is sitting on a 4-stroke, and those other 2 2-strokes are not able to run with him or at least get past him right now. So that's the dilemma for Mike Brown and Grant Langston, as Brock Sellards holds them off and, in effect, really distances them from James Stewart, who is our leader.
And that's going to happen more and more as they close out this series, because they believe Matt Walker, that's a nice move. Brock he got it stuck out there going, man, turn. He couldn't turn, and Brown was right there to take advantage.
This is exactly what Mike Brown, the series leader, needs. A good finish in contact with James Bubba Stewart. If he stays on the podium, he can make it difficult, as spectacular as Bubba is, for him to pick up the championship. So Mike Brown looks like he's got his mind right, running very fast right now in second place, and it looks like Grant Langston's also made the pass. So Langston goes to third. Brock Sellards' time in the front has slid, and he is back into fourth, but James Bubba Stewart continues to lead. But the man who is tougher than Biltong with that bad wrist and all sits in third place on his KTM.
Let's go back and take a look at Brown making his move on Sellards. Sellards took a little bit too long to get that corner made. He eventually did, but as soon as he did, Brown was like, nope. And he had to, that wasn't dirty. He had to cut across that line to make sure that Brock wasn't going to be able to come back on the inside. Brock drifted a little bit wide again. Maybe his concentration was a little bit fouled up from losing a position to Brown. Langston sneaks under him. So Brown and Langston chasing this kid. And look at that lead. And the thing that's going to really help James down the stretch is Branden Jesseman. He continues to ride well like he has a couple of times, especially in the first moto at Unadilla. Maybe Matt Walker when he rejoins the series, maybe later in the series. Those guys are capable of finishing up in front of Ryan Hughes and Brown and Langston, which is just going to help Stewart even more.
The KTM boys are starting to get into the fray. There's Ryan Hughes picking up yet another spot, so Hughes slides into fifth place as he tries to stay in contact with the leaders. He's certainly another one who's in the hunt for the championship.
Yeah, he's moving up pretty good, but just in those couple of corners, it looked like he needs to carry his momentum just a little bit more. He'll get faster as the race goes on. And he needs to get in contact with those guys a little bit more. You can see up to Sellards, but Brown and Langston are just a touch out of his view, and Stewart's completely out of his view. As soon as you can get riders that you know you can run with and pass in sight, it's just that much easier to reel them in.
James Bubba Stewart continues to lead at Washougal. Your running order looks like this. It's Stewart, Brown, Langston, and Sellards. Back in a moment. And welcome back to beautiful Washougal, Washington. This is round number 8 of the AMA Chevy Truck U.S. Motocross Championship, the Scott USA National. Todd Harris, along with the champ David Bailey and Cameron Steele, our current leader, James Bubba Stewart. And this is moto number 1 in the 125 class. We've got a good battle brewing right here for fourth place as Ryan Hughes tries to get back in contact with our leader, trying to get past the fourth stroke of Brock Sellards.
I thought he might have it done right there on the inside. He almost... Sellards is not the easiest guy to pass, man. He will fight for his position, but Rhino's... Yeah, he had a nice line where he was able to square him off. He set him up. Well, that should be the end of that, but here comes Sellards again.
So Brock Sellards trying to get back the position which he thinks is rightfully his. Oh, and that's a close one. A very tough field out here, and Brock Sellards not wanting to yield. Speaking of tough fields, Eric Sorby is usually someone who mixes it up out here. He is not racing today. It's a team decision. And for more on that, let's send it down to Cameron Steele in the pit area.
Well, Mitch Payton, the guru from Pro Circuit, sitting here courtside with me right now, guys, and I wanted to ask you, as you see a couple of KTM riders getting together and trying to give chase for Brownie, you feel maybe that Eric Sorby should be out here racing? What was the decision with Eric Sorby, I think, is the question here?
I mean, it's kind of between all of us, honestly, but he made a mistake last week, and he got black flagged, and we thought it was best to make sure that he knew we were real serious about that, and that we want him to race fair, and we don't want to be known that way. So we want him to know that we're going to be serious about it, and we don't want it to happen again.
That's a good move by Mitch. He's been around for a long time, and you know he's had a little bit of bad rap being tough on some of his guys. But every time I've ever been around Mitch and seen how he handles his riders, I think he does a great job, and it's a good decision. Eric's not in a position right now where he's going to win a championship or anything, and you know if he continues to do things kind of weird, where it's like, how do you get black flagged these days? I mean, you really got to cross over the line, and you know if he's going to cross over there, what's to say that he wouldn't inadvertently mess things up for Mike Brown, who's leading the point? So I think it's a good decision to have him sit out and think about things and get his head on straight and go out there and ride right and be aggressive and ride like he knows how.
Well,
Nice
Mitch made a good point, too. He was black flagged at Unadilla. Eric Sorby, who we're speaking of, for cutting the course, and I think Mitch just wants to set a standard for his team, what will be tolerated and what won't, and that is something he won't tolerate. So nothing gets the rider's attention more than having to sit out a week.
Well, you know, I mean, we can go all the way back to Anaheim when he had a lot of blocks and stuff, and you know that he has a responsibility to his sponsors. Eric does, you know, and that makes Pro Circuit look bad, and you know, Mitch isn't going to have any of that.
From that, we go back to racing, and we've got some great racing taking place right now. Ivan Tedesco trying to get into the fray. He currently sits in 8th place, and the rest of the field. And I'll tell you what, Ryan Hughes is getting up there, but Branden Jesseman, the 125E Supercross champion, has worked himself past Tedesco, so Jesseman now sits in 8th place.
He must have got a bad start.
Uh-oh. We got riders down. Looks like Brett Metcalf, the KTM Red Bull rider, number 123, and his bike is upside down, and he is in a very bad situation. Let's look at that one more time. Metcalf on the right.
Oh, he hits the braking bump. He's completely out of shape. Flies all the way up into the crowd. Man, what a scary deal. You know, that reminds me kind of the way Metcalf went down at the Pontiac Silverdome, the Supercross series.
Did it one more time at full speed. They separated like the Red Sea there as he comes flying into the fans. Fortunately, no one's injured other than Brett Metcalf. And
this wasn't a bike thing or a suspension thing, or it seemed to be the unlucky deal that caused him to go down at the Supercross in Michigan. This time he just hit a bump, kind of got all mixed up a little bit. And man, imagine just sitting there watching the race, got a good spot in the crowd, and here comes a bike. That doesn't happen hardly ever. Actually, I think in practice yesterday, or it happened to James Stewart, but he's back out there in one piece, got the bike back together, and he's got this thing in the bag.
And welcome back to Washougal, Washington for the Scott USA Nationals. Todd Harris along with David Bailey and Cameron Steele. And we've got a great battle going on right now for 7th. Branden Jesseman on board the Suzuki. And he is trying to get around Josh Woods, number 61 on the KTM.
Well, judging from him being the 125E Supercross champion, finishing 2nd overall last year, this pass is inevitable. Now, I don't think I had to go too far on a limb to see that one happen. Josh just getting back into it, trying to build some confidence, and as is Jesseman, but Jesseman with a few more credentials to his name, so he should be able to get that pass done. And I think a top 5. I don't think he can get in the top 3 this moto, but top 5 definitely. And he's not going for the title. He's just trying to ride his best at each race, which sometimes makes it even easier on you.
James Bubba Stewart continues to lead the margin, now approaching 20 seconds, and Stewart is virtually on a parade lap, giving the fans a good look at the new gear, the new boots, the bike, nice and clean. The jersey hasn't got any roost on it.
Fastest parade lap I've ever seen, Todd.
Unbelievable. The most stylish parade lap you might see in a long time. But James Bubba Stewart did not get the whole shot, but soon thereafter was out in front. Now, Mike Brown is just over 6.5 seconds ahead of his nearest competitor. So Brownie having a great run here as he sits in 2nd place.
And this is what he has been missing in the past few rounds. He needs to get up there and beat Hughes. Hughes, who missed a round completely with that leg injury, is creeping back up on him. So Brown needs to get serious here and close this series out.
All right, let's send it down to Cameron Steele for a report on Ryan Hughes.
You guys are still all about this championship, aren't you? You guys are going for the points.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got to make as many points as you can, obviously, in each race, and that's our only goal at the moment.
How do the lap times shake down? Can he catch Mike Brown?
I would have thought so. He had 2nd practice. He was 2nd fastest this morning ahead of Mike Brown, so I don't see why not.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Cameron. And Jonathan just laying it out in the line there. He's really in a battle with Mike Brown. They can't worry about James Bubba Stewart. They've got to worry about staying on that podium.
Right, and you see that blue flag coming out on top of the jump there. That's to let people know that the lap riders, that the leaders are coming around, make it easier on them. And Jonathan is, I mean, I hope they have a really good plan, and I'm sure that they do. But, I mean, it's mathematics right now. You know, you need to know what kind of points you need to get in order to be able to win the championship. You need to know what kind of finishes you have to have. Lance Armstrong wouldn't go do the Tour de France without a plan. He's always able to stay ahead of the game and inflict pain and not have to react to anything. And hopefully that race that Rhino had to sit out, he had some time to think about what he was going to do to still somehow win this championship.
Getting a good look at Michael Byrne, who's got himself into the fray with Jesseman. Brock Sellards right there going by number 18 on the Yamaha as they all come through one more time. There's Jesseman, there's Byrne. Jesseman moving up now. As David, you pointed out, the 125E Supercross champion is now up to 6th place, and he has made a few very nice passes.
He's getting around some fast riders, too. Just, you know, he hasn't been back that long. So to be able to jump right back into the race scene, especially in the 125 class, it's harder because everybody, the bikes are, you make a mistake in the 125 class. You just go over a berm, or you're just not laid over enough, can't get on the gas soon enough to get the drive up a hill. You take 2 or 3 laps to get that time back. On a 250, you can get it back a little bit easier. So for Jesseman to jump back in here and to be able to work his way through the pack like he has, just lets you know if he got a start. I don't know if he could run with James, but he's definitely good enough to finish second consistently.
Young James Stewart out of Haines City, Florida, continues to lead. This is the white flag lap, and Stewart looks so comfortable, so calm, all the style in the world. And I'll tell you what, since he's been back leading 89 of 104 laps, David, that is amazing.
At this point, I think it's 95 of 100 and, heck, I don't, whatever it is, it's ridiculous. I'll tell you that. You know, I mean, you can keep up with those stats if you want, but regardless, he's the man.
And the man picks up yet another victory. James Bubba Stewart is perfect since his return to the Outdoor Nationals. He picks up the win here in Moto #1, making it look easy in Washougal, and now the folks with the abacus and the calculator start figuring out what kind of damage he's done. If you're in Mike Brown's camp, how many points has he picked up? How many points has he lost? Also for Ryan Hughes and Grant Langston, the mathematics really start to begin.
Hughes right there finishing ahead of Langston. That's going to help him in the points, but he still lost points to Stewart and Brown again. So this is getting close.
Well, when we come back to Washougal, Washington, we'll talk with our winner. Plus, it's time for the Racer X Pit Pass when we return.
Mother's maiden name?
And we are back to Washougal, Washington. This is round number 8, the Scott USA Nationals. Ryan Hughes just finishing a very grueling Moto #1. Good podium for him as we take a look at the Honda official results. It's Stewart, Brown, and Hughes, Langston in 4th, and Brock Sellards in 5th place. Branden Jesseman comes back with a 6th, and Michael Byrne running very fast in 7th. But the man of the hour, James Bubba Stewart, picking up yet another victory, and he's now standing by with our Cameron Steele.
James Stewart, 7 for 7 since coming back. I heard you had a little mishap in practice. What happened?
One of the corners over there, I came out to jump. It was a little muddy and stuff, and swapped out, went into the crowd, hit like 4 or 5 people, but you know, I'm all right. You know, kind of one of those days. You know, I just kind of been straight coming in here too, and one of those days. And feel good. You know, Kawasaki got me out to a great start, and I'm ready to come back that next moto.
What's the key to being so fast, James? I mean, we ask you a lot of questions every week, but the key, let's have it.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about giving it up for runner-up position?
I ain't afraid.
Mr. Mike Brown.
I ain't never scared, you know, hang it out. So, you know, I think some of those guys are timid, and, you know, I'll fall, get up, fall again, and I think that's one of the things that separates me from the other ones, because I'm not afraid to go fast.
You're going for the points as well.
Right on, we'll see if you can make it 8 for 8, Moto #2.
Thanks, Cameron.
Well, they're not.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Nice job, James. August is going to be sizzling in more ways than one. We got 3 great stops in August for you: Millville, Binghamton, and Delmont. Right now, let's send it back down to Cameron Steele.
What goes through your mind when you catch your teammate? He's 1 point out of the championship lead, or real close to Brown there. Do you think about it, or, I mean, you're here to race, and you're going for the championship as well, no matter how many points back you are?
Yeah, you know, I'm only 33 points behind. That's not too far, and, yeah, those guys are close, but, hey, I still have a chance, and, you know, I'm going to try to beat these guys as much as I can. I just got to get my, you know, Red Bull KTM out there and, you know, show the speed of it, and got to get Ryan to be a little bit tougher out there, too, so stop being such a pansy and get tired.
Great job, Rhino. We'll see you in Moto 2.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Cameron. The women were also racing the WML Altex Computer Motocross. Ladies getting a great start on the same track the men are competing on. Jessica Patterson, though, David, gets a great start, but in the end, it was Steffi Lair getting the win. She got a 1-1 sweep.
Good to see Jessica Patterson back there, number 250. Remember, she took that horrible crash at Hangtown and got flown through the air, concussion, collarbone. So it's good to see her back in pretty good form, but couldn't get the job done, though.
And then the battle for 4th and 5th rages on. Meanwhile, Tanya Satchwell, she'll pick up 3rd. Tara Geiger would eventually get 4th, and Sarah Whitmore would pick up 5th. And the overall results look like this. It's Steffi Lair getting the overall 1-1. Then Patterson, Whitmore, Tanya Satchwell, and Sheena Patterson rounding out your top 5. Last year's overall winner, Steffi Bow, finishes in 6th. Well done to Mickey Keller and everyone at the WML. Right now, it's time for this week's edition of the Racer X Pit Pass from Washougal. Last-minute preparations when we return to Washougal, Moto number 2. Stay with us. Welcome back to Washougal, Washington, round number 8. Well, normally we interview all top 3 riders on the podium after Moto number 1. We didn't get to Brownie. For the reason why, let's check in with Cameron.
Well, guys, I'm down here on the starting gate for motor number 2, and right behind me is Mike Brown. He said since this morning his stomach has been acting up. In motor number 1, he said he had a tough time even though he was flying. In between motors, he said, hey, I'm feeling better. I'm ready for motor number 2. The 111 by Grant Langston, he had the flu coming in, but now he says, I have no energy for motor number 2. He had some in motor number 1. He's not sure how he's going to do out there. He definitely looked drained and weak. And also want to let you know the 105 KTM, Ryan Hughes, he changed his rear tire. He wants a better start so he can be in the fray earlier in motor number 2.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Bottom line, all the contenders that are chasing James Bubba Stewart are not doing well. As we take a look at the recap of Moto 1, Stewart's 24th career Moto win. Brown's best Moto finish since round number 3, so we'll see if Brownie has anything left in the tank as we take a look at our Suzuki starting grid. And unfortunately for the rest of those guys that Cameron pointed out, James Bubba Stewart is there and he feels just fine.
Well, he had his problems yesterday. It was pretty bad. He bent the bike all up. I think one of those spectators got hurt, from what I heard, and hopefully not, but no, he's going to be okay. But, you know, he rebounded. These guys have to rebound. They've got to be tough. I've seen Langston do it before. I've seen Hughes do it before, and so has Brown.
Moto number 2 from Washougal, Washington, underway now and right to the front. Nice dive in down low is Mike Brown.
Good start for Ryan Hughes. He was hoping to get off to a better start with that tire. It was right behind Brown. Probably 4th or 5th, somewhere up in there, in contact with the leaders, though.
So it's Brownie that takes him into the green flag lap. A huge boost of momentum for him. And if he's not feeling well, that is going to help. Unfortunately, as James Bubba Stewart works his way to the pack, which you know he will, currently now Bubba sits in 10th place. Craig Anderson right now is in 2nd, so number 109 in the Yamaha looking good, and there's Stewart in 10th, number 259. And David, you got to ask the question, is this delaying the inevitable?
Yes. It's just making it more fun, probably. Maybe he's going to get a little dirtier this time, but I think he enjoys weaving in and out of everybody. Watch his outside move. He's going to go pin it around the outside. It puts him on the inside of the next corner. It's a great move. The most impressive pass, one of the most impressive ones I've ever seen. Oh! Wait a minute. He just topped it.
Look at
I don't even know where the heck was I. James has wheelied that whole section. Langston coming off the line. It's sore wrist is the clutch hand. He looks over to his right to see what's going on. There goes Brown into the corner with a great start. Everyone gets through there pretty good this time, it looks like, compared to the first moto. But I was talking about
James Bubba Stewart, nice little pass.
I remember what I was talking about, and then I saw James wheelie that step-up section. And like he said, he's not afraid to go fast and take chances, and that was a perfect example. Unbelievable.
Why he changed gears beyond me, because he was never behind anyone, so he never got roosted, but he's got new colors today, and I'm sure Warren will send him a new jersey if he needs one.
And he just likes to change around. And, you know, any of the riders ride for these gear companies, and when I rode for JT back in the day, I wore different things because, you know, you want the company to be able to sell a lot of different products. When Ricky just wears orange, they're like, man, they'd like to get him to wear some other stuff. You know, they're trying to get Stewart to realize, hey, you don't have to win this lap, but I think he's going to try to. He can't stop that momentum. He, like Jeremy Albrecht said, his mechanic in one of the videos, hey, he goes for it. He never hesitates. Denny Stevenson actually took over for me here last year to do the commentating, and he said, and I loved it, he put it perfectly, he doesn't hesitate. He doesn't wait. He goes for it right now, and you're going to get to see some of it.
Michael Byrne sitting in 2nd. Look, here comes Bubba on the outside. So Bubba's got the 2 Australians in front of him. An amazing move on the outside, so Byrne sits in second, Anderson in third, and that could change, and it does. Stewart now only 5.5 seconds behind our leader. For a guy who was in 10th place not a minute ago, he's now 5 seconds. Right now, let's check in with Cameron Steele, who's with J-Bone.
Well, most mechanics, when their riders have a bad start, they get a little bit concerned. You don't look too concerned.
Yeah, the last few weeks have been pretty good. We've had some starts that weren't so good, and he always moves through the pack really, really good. So I'm not really nervous. Yeah, you ask me about halfway and we're back here like this, then I'll be a little nervous. But he's already up to third, so we're looking good.
Right on.
Thanks.
Jeremy's so cool, man. He's got such a great attitude. Anytime I've ever been around him, he always seems to be pretty funny and keeping things light. Look at that. Okay, just get out of the way.
That's why Jeremy's so light and casual.
Yeah, they grab the tear off while he's rubbing it in his face, you know. I mean, and Michael Byrne's a great rider. I mean, this is the guy that was leading 250 Supercross races at the start of the year and just left a couple inches too much room, and James rode right through there.
Not hesitating, that is the story for James Stewart. How soon till he catches the leader? It's Brown, Stewart, Byrne, and Anderson. Back in a moment. 125cc competitor Chad Reed had about enough of rookie phenom James Bubba Stewart by the time the series visited the Pacific Northwest last year. However, neither rider held the early lead as number 104 Shea Bentley led the field. A rough start put Stewart back in the pack, and number 10 Larry Ward took advantage of it, taking over first place for Bentley. Bubba worked his way up and looked ready to charge for the front. However, number 132, Billy Laninovich, in his first outdoor ride of the year, battled with the series leader and relegated him back for a while. Stewart would eventually claim the last spot on the podium, but his 5-moto win streak came to an end as number 10, Larry Ward, won his first moto of the year. In moto number 2, Branden Jesseman grabbed the lead while Bubba came through the pack, passing Ward. Stewart's 3-race win streak was in jeopardy if he could not get by the number 28 of Jesseman. Stewart once again makes it look easy as he goes by and then coasts home to the checkers and his 6th win of the season. Well, there you have it. James Stewart winning last year. Right now he sits in 2nd place, but I think, David, if you were a betting man in Vegas, you wouldn't put a whole lot of money on Bubba staying in 2nd for too much longer.
Perfect example right there. Brown comes off the jump, throws it a little bit sideways. James comes over the jump right behind him and really throws it sideways. He just does a little bit more than everybody else. A little bit more style, a little bit more body English, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more motivated. Just whatever you got, he's got just a little bit more. Here it comes.
Mike Brown is the current points leader, but James Bubba Stewart has been absolutely dominating, and he makes it look easy there. So Brownie now sits in 2nd, exactly where he was in moto number 1, and Brown's gone down. Mike Brown goes down in the corner, kind of in a blind spot right there, but he gets right back up. So Brownie's up and riding one more time, but the separation between him and Stewart now is enormous.
2 reasons for that crash as far as I'm concerned. One is you're in the shadows, like I talked about earlier. It's tough to see the rut. The other is, I don't know what he was thinking in the corner before that when James passed him. James, it looked like he just, at that one particular point, sort of conceded, like, okay, well, I'm not going to get him here, so I'll just take this time to pull a tear off. And then Brown went wide, he still got underneath him. So I think his concentration was messed up, and there goes Josh Woods.
Bad news for the KTM Red Bull team. Josh Woods looks like he is done for the afternoon. We'll have to find out what happened there. Meanwhile, out in front, it continues to be James Bubba Stewart. He shot past the points leader, Mike Brown, and for Brown's psyche, that cannot be good. Meanwhile, the rest of the pack now trying to reel in Brownie. No chance of really getting James Bubba Stewart, but they're trying to bring him in as Branden Jesseman makes yet another pass.
Gets by, looks like Michael Brandis right there, and we just got a shot just before that of Tedesco railing that berm at the bottom of the downhill like Stewart did in the opening lap. And now I remember it was Bradshaw that made the most impressive pass right there. Just drugged the handlebar. Now look, James is like, I'm probably not going to get him here. I'll pull a tear off. And Brown just looks over like, go ahead. I mean, he didn't fight for that at all. And you know what? That kid's reeling him in the points. He cannot afford to do that anymore. And he can hold us to the top of the show. Hey, I got to ride more aggressive, and that certainly wasn't a good example of it. Here's Branden Jesseman working his way through the pack again like he did in the first moto, squaring off Brandis before the big uphill. And Tedesco coming through the whoops here, looks like. Yamaha Troy getting by Brandis as well. So he's moving up through the pack. Tedesco, you know, he has a good moto here and there and hasn't been that consistent, but man, the guy is sure fast.
Right now, let's check in with Cameron Steele.
Well, we talked about it at Unadilla, and now Brock Sellards moving off the track once again. He said it was just a flu and not the Epstein bar, but Brock not able to finish moto number 2. Tough break for the Yamaha Troy rider.
He's had a tough time, Todd, with consistency, and
they look good in moto number 1. Had a great start.
It's pretty much been like that for the whole Yamaha Troy team. You know, they get a good moto here, and then they can't close the deal, but they're getting there. They've got a new manager there to try to help them focus a little bit better on their preparation for the races as well as their fitness. Jeff Montgomery, nicknamed Iron, he's over there checking that out, and you know, he's got a lot of talent to work with, but he's definitely got a mess to clean up as well.
Speaking of talent, here's Grant Langston. You can tell he is certainly off the rivet as far as his level of riding usually goes. Langston, who has the wrist injury, he injured his surgically repaired wrist earlier in the day, and a bit of the flu too. So Grant Langston in 7th place. This really is going to hurt him if he can't move up for the points.
Well, he wasn't that far behind Brown. Brown's going to change that around and put some points on him here. He's still ahead of Ryan Hughes. So the only guy he's losing points to right now, the way it stands, is James Stewart. He's still quite a ways back, but I don't know. You know, people are looking at how close he's getting, and
what? Ryan Hughes just goes over it. At first it looked like he hit hay bale, but there's another bike on the side. We're gonna have to find out who that is, but there is a rider down, and that's who Ryan Hughes just nailed. It looked like he hit a hay bale, but then you see a wheel in the corner, and it looks like it might be Mike Brown, because Brownie's nowhere in sight.
Well, that's Gosler, I think, going up over the jump. And then,
Michael Byrne goes over. Byrne just missing, and Brown stands up, and look at that. Just cold-cocks him. Ryan Hughes had nowhere to go. Brownie was trying to get out of the way, and Hughes just came over that blind hill and just drilled him.
That was horrible. That's the same jump where Lampson went down years ago and caused a little bit of a pile-up. So look at Mitch Payton just going, can you believe this?
We'll come back, sort it all out when we return to Washougal. Welcome back to the Pacific Northwest, Washougal, Washington, for round number 8. And for Brent Myron, Mike Brown's mechanic, the day has just turned terrible. Brownie involved in a horrific accident moments ago where he was hit by Ryan Hughes inadvertently. He was in a blind spot, and they are tending to him right now. And it looks like he's moving, so that's a good sign. But let's look at it one more time, David, in real speed.
Well, there's Byrne going up the jump, just misses him to the left. Look at Brown standing there, bam! Oh, that's just, I mean...
And I know they've had bad blood, but there was nothing Hughes could do there.
No, I mean, well, look at how bad he crashed.
And the fans giving Mike Brown, he's up and moving, giving Mike Brown a round of applause. Brownie was sitting in 2nd place, so a disastrous day for him. Not only the injury, which I'm sure he sustained something, but the points. And here comes Grant Langston. Here's a guy with a bad wrist, the flu, and he's out there battling for 6th.
Good luck working your way past Tedesco. So I was talked about how fast he is. Langston gets by him. I don't know if that's going to be over with. I don't know if Tedesco's going to let him off the hook that easy or not. But Langston is sure fighting right here. I've seen this guy fight, and I'm seeing it again. He's a little bit like Pastrana in that, you know, you give this guy an injury and he'll limp to the bike and get on and still get the job done. Tedesco looking the wrong way there. He needs to look forward and fight with Langston.
So Grant Langston moves into 5th place with the absence of Brown as the white flag comes out. This really shakes up the point standings. Meanwhile, number 259, James Bubba Stewart, is your leader. Pretty much been there the whole time, had to work his way up from back in the pack, but he has been phenomenal.
Well, you know, it's nothing, all of it's completely out of his control, but when he finds out what happened, that's not that he's going to be happy about it, but it certainly helps him out in the points. There's his dad and his mechanic looking on. It's a good day for James again.
Wow. James is just at a different level. I know everyone wants to push him into the 250 class, but let the man defend his title, and then during the offseason he can figure out what he wants to do.
Well, if he stayed in the 125 Nationals again next year, I think it would be...
overkill?
Yeah, it'd be overkill. He really needs to move up. I mean, he's so special. And he's already won this title. This is his chance to defend it, and you can't always successfully defend it. You know, just because he didn't doesn't mean he should stay there till he does. I think he belongs in the 250 class. But right now, I mean, there's been some letters and stuff posted here and there about, hey, this is cherry picking, it's ridiculous, put him in the class he belongs in. But, you know, he deserves to be where he is. After the season, though, he does need to move up. The battle for fourth, as you can see up there in the corners, Langston is fighting so hard. Rhino has still got a chance to pick up a decent overall in the day and pick up some points as well. So it's great for KTM, terrible for Pro Circuit. Langston talked about it at the beginning of the show. He goes, you know, the luck, you never know what's going to happen. And that's another example of how motocross, you can never tell.
Well, one thing that is almost always certain when he enters a race, James Bubba Stewart is odds-on favorite to walk away with a checkered flag, and that's exactly what he's doing in this race. James Stewart Sr.'s got to like it. J-Bone's got to like it. Everyone at Kawasaki's got to love it. And your winner in Moto number 259, James Bubba Stewart, walking away with yet another checkered flag. And I'll tell you what, it all becomes a matter of mathematics. Can he continue to win? And at this pace, if Mike Brown, Ryan Hughes, and Grant Langston can't keep the pace, James Bubba Stewart will successfully defend that title.
Well, another 1-1 day, so he's a perfect scorer since his return. And now that he's closer in the points, all the mathematics and averaging out stuff is going to change, because him entering the picture is changing the complexion of the nervousness and what happens with these guys. They may not get the average finishes they've been getting up to this point with James so close. And Ryan Hughes trying to hold off Langston through that last whoop section to get a couple points back.
KTM Red Bull have to be happy with their riders. I don't know if they want them so close together with a title on the line, especially since what happened to Brownie. But as they come through, Rhino will just hold off Grant Langston barely. But for Grant Langston, you got to give him the Tough Man Award today. Meanwhile, James is already onto the celebration.
Well, while he celebrates, it's really good fortune for both Langston and Brown to have such a break now before the next round to get healthy again, so they can continue this great fight.
There are the Honda official results. James Stewart picks up yet another victory here in Moto number 2 in Washougal. And we'll have to check in and find out what happened with Mike Brown and how he's going to be. But right now, let's send it down to Cameron Steele, who's with our winner.
Well, guys, James Stewart, perfect since he's been back 8 motos in a row, 4 overalls. James, not a great start, though. You had to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, you know, kind of bogged off the gate a little bit, but I made my way up. I got around Brown the second lap, and I don't know what happened to him, but I think he fell up there. But, you know, I'm ready. You know, I'm just feeling good. I ain't getting tired out there, and I'm ready to go to next month. Well, I wish we had 3, so it was great.
You know, Brown going down, Langston having a great finish. This helps you in the points. Are you thinking about it now?
I don't know. I still got to catch up to Rhino for a while, and you know, I guess after today I'm gonna have to think about it. You know, I caught up a lot of points and everything, but you know, I'm just trying to go out there and represent MUCK, and you know, my mom and dad like to thank those guys a lot, and my brother Malcolm, my team Chevy Trucks, Kawasaki, Fox, Oakland, Bridgestone, and everybody. Thanks.
A great job from James Stewart. We'll see how the roll continues when we get to Millville at our next round.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Bubba continues to move up. Grant Langston, as we said, Strongman Award of the day. Absolutely spent. He is out of fluids. He is dehydrated. The flu, the wrist, just compounds this. But he went out there, David, and he battled for 2 hard motos. Ended up getting 5th there in the 2nd moto.
Well, you know, you can look at how he's feeling right now. It's pretty horrible, but he's the points leader now.
As we take a look at our Honda official results, it is Stewart, Hughes, and Byrne going 1, 2, and 3. Right now, let's check in with Cameron Steele. He is caught up with Ryan Hughes, and what a great day for Hughes. Let's get his perspective.
A great ride for you today, Ryan Hughes, the 2nd overall. What happened out there with you and Brown?
Dude, I don't know how he crashed, but I came over the jump, and there was an opening, and I thought he was going to stand where it's at, and I went for it. And I saw him move, and I braked, and I just didn't have enough time because where I was landing was almost right there. And, man, I feel so bad. I mean, you know, everybody knows that we've had our ups and downs, but that does not make me feel good at all, you know. I don't want to do anything like that to anybody, and, you know, I hope he's okay.
Well, there's nothing you do at Blind Hill like that. You know, I know it's racing, but it's definitely wearing on you right now.
Yeah, you know, I haven't been riding. You know, this week I didn't ride at all, and it's just, you guys can tell, it's just taking a toll on me. You know, I'm so tired, and it kind of sucks, you know, because I got to give a little to get a little on the track. But, you know, yeah, I mean, 2nd place, I gained some points, and it's not the way I want to, but I gained points on Grant fair and square, so I was happy about that. You know, my Red Bull KTM was running good, so I'm happy.
Right on. Well, the sponsor plugs, everything's good. Ryan Hughes moving up. Great job today, Rhino.
Thank you.
Corners, 7th place moto number 1, second in the second moto, back on the podium. We haven't seen you there since Southwick. Where have you been?
Yeah, I know. It's, you know, I've had a lot of bad starts over this last few weekends, and, you know, and you can't do it from the back of the pack. And, you know, if you start outside the top 10, it's real hard to get back up there, and the front guys are always gone. So, you know, I've had some good motos here and there, and, you know, today I got good starts and, you know, rode smart and consistent.
Great ride. We'll see you at Millville.
Thanks.
Thank you, Cameron. As we take a look at the point standings, Langston is now the points leader. Brown in second, Hughes in third, and look at Bubba Stewart moving all the way up to fourth. Well, Grant Langston is hydrated, cleaned up, and he is now standing by with our Cameron Steele. Cameron.
Well, guys, we've caught up with Grant Langston back in the pits after the second moto. A brutal moto for you. Down on the ground, we couldn't catch up with you. It seems like it's all worth it, though, now taking over the points.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, coming to this, you know, today, I knew it was going to be a tough day. And, you know, after the first moto, I just didn't feel good. I felt pretty crappy every time I stood up. But, you know, I gave it everything I had. And, you know, the day in a whole was good because I grabbed the points lead. Unfortunately, you know, Brown went down, and actually my trainer was like the first guy over to help him. So he said he's doing all right. You know, just a shoulder came out, I guess. So, you know, I hope he's fit for the next race. I like it to be a good, clean battle to the end.
Well, it should be exciting going through the end of the season. We look forward to watching the battle.
Yeah, you know, we got 4 rounds left. Fortunately, the next we got a couple of weeks off, so that's gonna be great. And then after that, we go to Millville, which is like my favorite track. So I'm looking forward to that.
Right on. We'll see you there.
Thank you.
Good effort by Grant Langston, and you know, I really appreciate his sportsmanship, and also from Ryan Hughes and maybe Mike Brown. I hope he's going to do well. He's got a few weeks now before Millville. I think he might race better from behind, and we're going to continue to see 20 more of this, I would assume.
For David and Cameron, I'm Todd saying so long. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.